What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of epic conversations. And I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that team, we've reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem, broadcasting live on March 15th, the middle of March, and here in the Greater Toronto area. Celsius-wise, we're up to 15 degrees today. Fahrenheit-wise, 60 degrees today, which is impressive. But we had a little bit of rain today, and we're supposed to be getting a bunch of rain tomorrow. Then the temperature goes back down. But with all this rain, the snow is slowly but surely vanishing. And, last weekend, clocks in most places in North America forwarded. So it's later, the sun goes down. I didn't catch the lunar eclipse this week. Did anyone catch that? I didn't. I haven't seen pictures of it, but But hey, everybody, whether you're watching live or on the replay, video-wise, you like the new opening? Another new opening today. Always got new things happening. But enough about me. Let's bring up the real stars. Aisha K. Staggers with a funky background. And also, LaLa Key. So for some reason, I'm not seeing Aisha is frozen. So I have to bring she's okay. So why don't we do this? Take this. Yeah, she is frozen. She's having some technical difficulties. LaLa, what's happening?
Hello.
What's up?
What's not happening? You know what's interesting is I try to keep up with things, but I guess what Trump promised and Bannon promised, they're going to flood everything with so much stuff that you can't keep up with it all. It's been a crazy week, but I'm going to tell you, today and yesterday after 5 p.m., I shut it all off and took deep breaths because that's what we need to do. We need to take care of ourselves first.
100%. And your dear husband is doing fine?
Oh, he's doing wonderful.
Okay, so I say the word "so" too much. Another brand new thing we're testing up today. If you are watching this live on the YouTube channel, you can type in where you are chiming in from in the YouTube chat.
Do it.
So I'm testing something out to see how I'm doing. So please, in the YouTube chat, type in where you are chiming in from. Even if it's one person, just type in the chat where you're what city you're chiming in from. Okay, someone has done it. Now, this is what I wanted to see if this works. So I'm testing out a new software, and what this software is showing. So here we go. All right, so someone has typed in the chat where they're chiming in from, and there you go. Someone, it looks like, I don't know exactly where, but a few people have chimed in. All right, so most of the people right now look at like Canada, US area. That's where they've chimed in from, which is amazing. So I just tried doing my feedback there. All right. Okay, so Shirley from Ottawa, Leslie McEwen, Mental Health Simplified from Ottawa, great. Dusty Bunny tuned in from Toronto, and Leslie McEwen says self-care first. So let me just do this. I'm doing a lot of different things at the same time here. So here we go. So in our comment section, yes, Leslie McEwen says self-care first. Dusty Bunny, our producer, tuning in from Toronto. Leslie McEwen, Mental Health Simplified, Canada, great. The Wallamala, north of Toronto. Leslie McHugh in Ottawa. JJ Mars, what's up from Colorado? So JJ Mars, can you put in what city or you're chiming in from in Colorado? Because I just want to see it hit on the map. And Shirley, Stratford, Ontario. Nazar, yeah, LaLa. Look at this. See on the map? It showed.
Oh.
It showed. So I wanted to test. So I'm testing. And so during the conversation, I'm going to be testing some other things with this software. And this is in Denver today. Hey, there we go. You see JJ Mars, Denver today. You see it showed up on the map.
Nice.
All right. All right. Because I'm testing with this software. And today, okay, so I think I'm going to go. They have a free version. So I'm fooling around with it. And so far, so good. So I'm going to be fooling around with other aspects of this software for your engagement audience-wise today. Good to have you, Aisha K. What's been going on?
Just trying to make it.
How's your daughter doing?
Oh, she's fine. She's doing great. She's doing great.
Good.
Well, she's doing what the rest of us are doing.
In America or what? I don't know people.
Oh, in America. Yeah, in America. Just trying to, stay afloat.
Right. Staying afloat. Staying afloat.
Staying afloat, although prospects elsewhere are looking better and better and better.
No comment, because you never know who's listening to this. Thank you very much. That's why we have our private Discord group. Then we're chatting a little bit amongst that. I will say, as I was saying to LaLa before we went live today, there's a supporter, longtime supporter. Her name is Divine Wright. I won't give her real name, who lives in the DMV area, Washington, Maryland, Virginia area. And she reached out to me this week saying, Dr. Vibe, which three reasons she wanted to make sure I was doing okay. Second reason was that she's a big proponent of Lyme. Was it Lyme disease? You know what? Let me check. I got it. Yes, I do write things down, people. Yes, Lyme disease month, which is in May, and she's had Lyme disease for many years. So every year she comes on in May and talks about updates in the area of Lyme disease. And then she said she has a good friends of hers, a couple that have some kids, one of them being LGBTQ plus, and they were asking, they're wanting, I think the husband, they have lived in Toronto in the past, moved down to the States, but they want to come back to Toronto. Oh, I love this thing about this map, because it looks like someone in the West Coast. So you ladies, you can see this map, okay?
Yeah.
So basically, if I put in where I am,
yes, it will go on. Should go on the map. So this tells you where things are happening. Well, enlightened beings from Los Angeles, California. So there's the purple on the West Coast of the U.S. There you go. And Aisha, there you go. So in the free version, it gives up to 10, but the lowest level of their paid version allows up to 50 people. But it's very nice that they're offering.
Yeah, I need to see my proximity to our neighbors to the north.
Okay, Lance, I'm continuing
on this. In case I need to just run across the border and hide.
Okay. Jesus. So that this family, with one of the children being LGBTQ plus, are thinking about moving to Toronto. So there's two gentlemen. Wayne Harris is a financial educator who I've known for 30 years. I'm going to get them in contact with him in regards to the financial side. And a close associate of mine, Ray McMillan, who has been who's done private mortgages, knows about real estate not only in Canada, US, and the Caribbean. And I may even get some insight from LaLa on this, even though she hasn't done it. Have you ever done a deal in Canada yet, LaLa?
Not in Canada just yet, but I do have partners.
Okay, so there you go. Very, very, very. So we're going to. This is the true meaning of a village.
And it's concerning as a parent when you have a child that identifies as LGBTQ and see what they're doing. LaLa and I both know what that's like, and the concern that you have as a mom. It's like it's bad enough for us regularly as women and the rights and things that we're losing, but when you have a child too that has to deal with things in addition to that, you really don't want that for them. So you do start looking at your options, no matter how old your kid is.
True. Good point. So I'm going to take down this screen But thank you, people, for engaging. I'm going to be trying some other things. Hopefully, they're going to come up software-wise in regards to this
Mhm.
new software we're going to check out. And okay, we're back. Okay. So feedback, present, live stream feedback. Okay, we got presentation. All right, we're going to take a break.
Much
And
needed.
all right, we're gonna have this is gonna be this as always is fire, but what is going on with the Democratic Party in the United States? I think that's gonna be a conversation that's gonna be a long one. And we're gonna take a break for 30 seconds, and then we're just gonna zero in on that thing called the Democratic Party and the whole budget thing, and it's so much. So we'll be back in 30 seconds. Black Canada Talking, where Black Canadians give their takes, POVs, and insights.
Think about that our ancestors have been doing this. Think about your own privilege. Enjoy our food. Celebrate our food.
Oh yeah, that's because Black people do a lot of bad stuff. Can you believe this? I said, who taught you that?
Many people would say culture, but you use spirit. Why do you use that word? I find this fascinating.
Hearing him say that, it just really filled my heart. So thank you for sharing that.
Excellent. We are back, and that's Black Canada Talking, Sunday afternoons, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. If you are around live tomorrow's March 16th, incredible, wonderful human being that I'm blessed to know for many years, Camille Dundas. Her and her husband, Roger Dundas, were the co-founders of BuyBlacks.com, Black Canada's #1 online magazine. And she'll be live. Yeah, she'll be on 5 p.m. And she actually is a journalist. That's her degree in journalism. And a few months ago, we had a story in the Toronto area about a number of Black boys going missing.
Yes, I read that.
And long story short, a lot of times people think, well, Black boys going missing must be really bad families. Each one of these boys were from 2-parent homes. But what was happening, they were being wooed up to Northern Ontario to get involved in drug trade. Camille has done a 3-part story on it on Buy Blacks, and she's going to be coming on tomorrow to chat about it. So if you're around March 16th, 5 p.m. Eastern, wherever you're watching this, would advise you check it out. Girlfriends Chat, Aisha, LaLa, and Jill. And I heard it was fire this week.
Yeah, we've got several. I know I'm going through just trying to make sure the editing, everything's fine, and everything will be uploaded tomorrow morning.
I thought it's hard editing this. It's nothing compared to what the editing you must have to.
Well, a lot of it I just decided to let go because I think people need to hear it as it was said, and so a lot of the editing part is really just the cleanup to make sure it sounds crisp as possible, and that it uploads to the best quality on Patreon. There's been some quality issues the last couple of times I've tried uploading, so I've been really focused on making sure that we have the best quality. So there's like 3, I believe, that are gonna go up tomorrow.
Wow.
I got them all set and ready to go. I'm just working on one last one to make sure it's that last one that we did, because it was a long conversation, to make sure that everything is there.
All right. Primetime Saturday Show store. There's the link there. Join Primetime Saturday with Aisha LaLa Discord group. Email me dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Like getting the 1,720 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet and you're up to it, please subscribe. Advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I'm a part of. Email me dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com. And we're not going to forget Dr. Tachi, Indie Soup TV, independent content creators platform, been around 9 or 10 months. They've just passed 25,000 YouTube subscribers.
Amazing.
So to put that in retrospective, family, only 4% of all YouTube channels have over 10,000 subscribers. Only 4%. And we're actually blessed. Replays of this conversation appear on that platform, Dr. Tachi's platform. But think about that. Only 4% of all YouTube channels have over 10,000 subscribers. And she's been able to get hers over 25,000 subscribers in 9 or 10 months.
Nice.
That is good stuff. That is, and periodically,
great quality
Yeah.
content.
Yeah.
absolutely 20 to 30 independent content producers. Ladies, it's time to talk about the budget that just got passed. So whatever you want to do, and I'm going to see if I can put up something, another feature of this software to engage the audience about this, but it's your time. Who wants to start?
I think the first thing that we should talk about is why this particular bill wasn't exactly clean. So for a continuing resolution, I guess everybody needs to understand what a continuing resolution is. Continuing resolution is it's a bill to fund the government at its current level, to not cut anything or to change anything in the current budget as is, and then fund it at its current level, no changes whatsoever. That's a clean CR. What they passed the other day was not a clean CR, because you can't fund the budget as it is while you're cutting jobs, while you're cutting services. That's not a clean CR. And a continuing resolution, as opposed to passing a budget, is only for 6 months. So it's March. In October, we are going to find ourselves in this same place again, where we have to pass another either continuing resolution that will fund up through March of next year, or a full budget. And the reason that they did this continuing resolution as it is to go to October is for several reasons. One, it keeps them paid. Let's be very clear. They still want to get their paychecks. It keeps them paid. That's the first thing. The second thing is that it keeps all the people that Trump wants to upend government paid. That's the second thing. And the third thing is that they're stalling for time to get the votes that they need and to pass a different budget bill in the House, to see how many, all those special elections, that all those things pass that they need to pass, so that they have the votes to pass the budget bill they want to pass as outlined in Project 2025 through the House, and they need to get through the Senate. And I promise you, in this 6-month period, what you're going to find happen is a repeal of the filibuster in the Senate, which means they won't need the 60 votes. They won't need the 60 votes to pass the budget. They want to change that temporarily, mind you, just while they're in power.
No, I don't believe in nothing temporary under this administration.
I believe they want it temporary, because if Democrats, I'm talking about the Senate, because this has nothing to do with the president. He has nothing to do with this. If the Democrats do take hold again, they want that filibuster in place, because they want anything that Democrats get to have to go through the 60 vote threshold. But they want to change it temporarily for while they're in power, so that they can pass things with a simple majority, because now they don't have a simple majority and they will need 8 votes from Democrats. And it's a shame to me that the Democrats in the Senate gave it to them. Every last one of the 8, when they come up, they need to be voted out. And Democrats really need to sit and think about the leadership in the party in both the House and the Senate. Those are leaders for the 90s. If you haven't checked your calendar yet, it's 2025, and the opposite party, and you have to call them the opposite, the opposing party, they're not playing by any rules. They're playing by Donald Trump's rules, which are given to change at a whim, depending upon how offended he is by people's insensitivities to how perfect he thinks he is.
Let's get this straight. He just got rid of the ambassador of Africa just because the ambassador of Africa did not agree with him and called him out. So now he has considered him a race baiter, and he has told him to leave our country. The ambassador for Africa in Washington, D.C., was just told to go back to his country. He is also working very hard on getting rid of any kind of birthright citizenship. Everything that he has absolutely done is working against all of our democracy. Everything that he has done is going to put him into kingship, which is actually what he wants. He wants to be a king. He's already floated it out there. He puts pictures out. He puts things out that he wants people to see so that his kook aid can rally around him. And he also can get a temperature of how they're feeling. The Democrats have failed us. I now consider them traitors. The ones who have done the things that they have done in this last week, and let me be very clear, I do not mean Jasmine Crockett. There's 5 of them that I do like, but even if you ask me right now, Hakeem Jeffries is a traitor to me. He is a traitor to me. He cannot come out here and tell us that, well, there's nothing we can do. That's pure. The fact that the 1 or 2 that continue to bow down when it comes to these very important votes tells me that someone was bought out. Something was bought, or something is holding something over their head. Then if we were the ones who voted you in, you need to vote the way that we are telling you. And we all, pretty much everybody that I know, even on TikTok, even on the social media, even I said, almost everyone I know said, shut this down. That was the exact word. Shut it down. Shut this down. And what did they do? They played right into the hands of the person who's going to turn around and screw them. Yeah. Because that's his goal. So they are traitors. They need to be voted out, and they need to go.
Okay.
And the point of it, just one more thing to piggyback on what LaLa said.
Okay.
It's not just it's not just the part that they're traitors and the shutting down. The shutting down part is the thing that you had to do to let them own it. You need to. They didn't get anything for these votes.
Right.
Right. That's the thing. Like, if it was 47 to be quid pro quo. But again, I'm fooling around with the software, and I'm going to see if I can put up another thing for audience engagement. And if you are watching on YouTube, I'm putting up now, and this is one word. What one word do you use to describe the Democratic Party in America? One word. Well, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. And we'll see if because if this works properly, we'll begin to start seeing word. There we go. There we go. Insufficient, pathetic. All right, weak. All right. So we can, the first 10 people that to chime in, you'll see it on the screen. And it was funny. I was chatting with LaLa yesterday, saying, okay, I'm hoping I'll be able to run this, and this is working to a charm. So just to catch up on some comments here, JJ Mar says, nice cool day in Colorado. I've been watching Coach Prime work his new football players. All right, Jen Myers, what is going on? Jen Myers, good to have you. I wish you were watching this on YouTube so you could engage with it, but with us, no problem. Enlightened Being says pathetic. Aisha says weak. JJ Mars dumb. The Wallamala says incompetent. Shirley says immature. Aisha says old-fashioned. Okay. The Wallamala says Republicans in disguise. Ooh. Yeah. So it didn't pick up. That was very interesting, that one. And it didn't pick up the whole thing because it only allows you one word. But there you go. So one words. Ladies, what do you think about this?
Now we need to take a screenshot of this so that we can send this to them to let them know this is what we think of them.
Yeah. I mean, I think of it this way. Especially with the part about the Republicans in disguise, the excuses that these people are making is that they have to get elected statewide and they've got Republicans. Guess what? You're sitting there. And guess what? Let them vote you out. As a matter of fact, double down on that. Say, you know what? If you want me out, you're going to have to vote me out. If I'm not doing the job that you don't like, if I'm not doing what you don't want, just vote me out. But as it stands, you elected me to be in here and be the Democrat in this situation.
Gotcha.
It's like, here's something that someone said on Last Talk Radio I was listening to the other day. They said that Democrats have decided, the Democrats of the mid 2000s up to 2020 are gone. They said that, remember the Obama coalition of Dems that they're talking about? They decided now that, you know what, we tried that. You elected the first Black president and we've been losing ever since. We're going to go back to the 90s. And if you remember, the 90s Democrats they capitulated a lot to Newt Gingrich, who was nothing but
Yes.
but Donald Trump, not on steroids. They capitulated to him. And also 90s Democrats, they're trying to go back to Clinton Democrats. But guess what the problem with Clinton Democrats were? There was no diversity. There was only one voice, and that was the voice of white people.
Oh my God, Aisha, I forgot about that.
There was no
Wow.
diversity.
Wow.
You had your tokens, but you didn't have your stars, the way that you started to see building up in that coalition. People who were like, you know what, we're going to call a thing a thing. We did the 90s thing, but guess what? That doesn't work for now. We're going to call a thing a thing.
There is no other time period. I need to say this because I am so tired of people saying, let's go back to. There is no perfect let's go back to. We are in a completely different time now. This is a different set of circumstances and a dangerous set of circumstances. There is no other point in time where we have been in this position, where we have someone in this position who wants to be the complete dictator of the United States of America and has no regard whatsoever of what our policies, our constitution, our everything says. There is no other precedent time. So stop telling me that you want to go back to a certain time. You need to live in this time. And you need to understand how dangerous this time is. And you need to stand up for the people like you promised. Because right now, I don't believe you. I don't trust you. And I surely don't see you doing your job.
Yeah. And I'm going to say this very clearly. And I need everyone to hear me now. And I need you to start repeating it in your social spaces. This country is not going to be predominantly white anymore. Period. Stop trying to chase political parties that are.
Okay. Again, if you are watching on YouTube and checking out some new software today, question for you. Should Chuck Schumer, the leader of the Democratic Party in the American Senate, resign? So you have a few words you can use, but if you could type them in, if you're on YouTube, give me a few words, what your thoughts are. Just want to see if this platform works. Yes. Okay. Immediately.
That was me.
Anyone else, especially if you're living in, it doesn't matter whether you're living in America or not. Do you feel that Chuck Schumer, the leader of the Democrat, because when I got up on Friday morning saying, wow, Chuck Schumer says he's going to side.
Chuck Schumer can't say anything else that anyone will believe from here on out, because he said the day before, I'm not voting for that continuing resolution. And then he turns around and he does it. But then he says, well, the reason I'm doing it is because there are people that will lose their jobs that are going to do. People are losing their jobs anyway. Guess what? They'll fund it, but guess what? Trump will just let Elon Musk in to fire them anyway. So what the hell did you do? Nothing. You showed that you are a liar. You showed that you have no backbone. You showed that you are a punk. You showed that you are willing to kiss Trump's behind. Guess what? While your lips are orange, I can't talk to you, Chuck.
Joe, whoa. Oh my goodness. And again, if you're on the YouTube channel, I think I got a few more spaces. Again, put in the comments section on YouTube on the Dr. Vibe Show. Should Chuck Schumer, leader of the Democratic Party in America, should he resign? And we'll read some comments here. JG Mar says, Cali CBC sabotage their own Republicans bill. Are they being called for it? Enlighten Cali CBC shortage their own. Is that the Congressional Black Caucus?
Legislate LBC.
Okay.
It's the
Okay.
legislative Black Caucus in the states, congressional for the federal.
Right. Also,
Unless he's talking about, well, yeah, he must be talking about the legislative one, because if it's a bill in the state, then it's the legislative one.
all right. And so Enlightened Being says Schumer should resign. Aisha
Yeah.
says immediately. The Walamala says while he still can. Norman Richmond, if that's the Norman Richmond I know, great to hear you. Hit the road, Jack. Shirley Josma says yes. All right. And ladies, what do you think about this new feature? You liking it?
I love it. It's fun. I love the interaction. Everybody keep putting their comments in. We love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is good. Again, right now I'm using a free version, but next week we'll have a full out version, and it will limit, like, for any question or poll, it'll have up to 50 responses, and it will do it in real time. So that is great. What are the if you're a Republican supporter, how are you feeling about this?
Like you've
How am I
won the
feeling about what? Exactly. It's like, here's the sad part, and we talked about this on Girlfriend's Chat this week. The thing I think that people are forgetting, there are those people that are going to town halls and booing, and we should probably talk about what happened Thursday. There are those people going to town halls and booing, and there are those people who are doing their little TikTok videos about how things are happening. And also, you have to remember, those people doing those TikTok videos are also trying to do it for money and for likes and for follows. So you don't know how sincere those reactions are, but the people who go to the town halls, you are. The problem is when you see these features on certain shows on legacy media, where they talk to the farmers who are losing their money, and they're mad at the government, and they're like, "Oh, I shouldn't have done this contract," and da 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 da. Joe Biden, what? Excuse me? It's like, he didn't do this. It's the guy you still like that's doing this. And I I was like, why are they like this? Why are they like this? Until I realized something today. If you don't watch the things that they're watching, or that they're hearing, you're exposed to it, you don't realize it. So for example, today, I don't use, like, I have regular, cable service through DirecTV, and they have a streaming 2020 channel, because I love my true crime. So I'm watching the 20.
Oh, by the way, I love the 2020, and I'm now watching 48 Hours
Dateline.
streaming and Dateline. That's my I'm all in. So sorry to interrupt.
So
Keep on
no,
going.
so I'm watching the 2021. I'm getting ready today for this podcast, and every commercial break, there is an ad, and these are paid. There is a paid ad saying how great Trump is, and that all the things that are happening are the result of Joe Biden's economy. First of all, Donald Trump has been president for almost 9 weeks now. He owns this. But the people are hearing this, and they're thinking this is because they're thinking this is the delayed reaction, which tells you that there's this cognitive dissonance with people. They're willing to believe that it's that, oh, Donald Trump, yeah, he's inheriting. What we're getting now is because what Joe Biden did was so terrible. But what they won't say is that what Joe Biden handled in 2021, and when things started to get bad before they got better, because he inherited what Trump left. They're like, no, he did that all on his own. I realized this in listening to that ad.
minds ever.
But I realized this in listening to that ad. There's a campaign, paid media campaign, to say all the things that he's doing. That ad, the last ad that I heard before I came on here was about how he's making sure that prices for families are cheap for eggs and gas, and that it's going to take some time, but it's coming. Lower prices are coming. And I realized, I'm like, first of all, they're paid. This is paid propaganda. Then I wondered, where's the money coming from?
What did it say in the little thing, Aisha? What did it say?
It didn't say anything, and there was no paid for by such and such, which made me wonder where some of this money that they're cutting is going towards. And it made me see where we're headed. They're cutting the money to NPR. They're cutting the money to PBS. He's going to take that money and revamp it into this propaganda campaign. Either that, or he's going to tell those stations, unless you do what I say, you're cut. And the other thing we have to worry about is they're about to cut C-SPAN, cut some of the budget to C-SPAN. That's how we know what's really going on. No commentary. So yeah, I think that the information that people are getting on the Republican side is disjointed from reality.
One-sided.
It's totally
Everybody has been compromised.
yeah, it's totally disjointed from reality. And you know, as far as what's going on with the Republicans, I really don't give it. As long as they're willing to listen and not think critically. You know, last night I was listening to something before I went to sleep, and it was like a TikTok video, I think, and the guy said, you know, all of this it comes down to race.
Yes.
White people in this country would
Many,
rather,
not all, many.
if you benefit from it and you say nothing, you are just as complicit. I'm sorry. I'm not ready to go there anymore, because if you benefit from it and you're silent, you're just as complicit. And they would rather, and the thing is that if we say many, that means that individuals don't have to own the group. We don't do that with Black people. We don't do that with other people. Every individual who is not white has to own the collective of the group. So they're no different. They have to own this. But white people would rather have nothing if it means that Black people specifically, because we're going back to the origins of this country, because they put the Native Americans away. They got rid of them, and then they put them away. So Black people in this country, they did not want them to have anything. And what this comment said in this little documentary focused on the period of Reconstruction in this country coming to an end. They burned down the South. They burned it down during Reconstruction because they would rather have nothing than for the Black people to have anything. And that is what they went on their rage of terror. Then we come even closer in history, and you talk about the New Deal. White people were not for the New Deal until it excluded domestic workers and service workers and farmers, including sharecroppers. Who are the domestics? Who are the sharecroppers in this country? Then they were all for the New Deal because it meant that group, because remember, they couldn't specifically say Black people. We'll get as close to it as we can. Donald Trump has forget all that. I'm saying it. He is now going after colleges and universities who, even if, put it this way, someone said in the Library of Congress, there is a picture of one of the fighter bombers from World War II named the Enola Gay. It has been flagged and removed because Gay is the last name of the person it's named after. This is where we are in America. People whose last names are Black are being stripped from our history because their last name is also a race that we identify in people. This is crazy.
All right. I'm in the background. I'm working on another interactive thing for our audience. So just bear with me a quick second. So if you're watching live on the YouTube channel, we have another thing because we opened up talking about the current crisis going on with the government in the United States. So I'm just going to see if I'm going to bring it up and see if this works. So bear with me, family. I'm going to do this. Now, I don't know if this is not showing the right thing. Reset. Let me just reset. Okay, here it is. Would you have liked the Democratic Party to shut down the federal government? So if you're watching on YouTube, you have three choices: yes, no, or not sure. First 10 people that respond will be able to take a look at this interactive poll. So there we go. So one yes. So Aisha LaLa, you can also vote if you wish, if you're on the YouTube channel. And while we're looking at that, got comments coming like crazy. Hold on here. Oh boy. this is why I'm glad I have a producer helping with me, because there is so many things going on right now. All right. The overwhelmingly right now we've got yeses. All right. Thank you, producer. You're ahead of the game with me. All right. All right. All right. All right. So let's just go back a little bit. So first off, Dr. Tachi, hello, hello. Hope you are all fine. My apologies. I missed your debut of Mediascope last night. I'm speaking. It went fine. And that is the lady who's the driving force behind Indie Soup Media. Next up, Dr. Tachi says, exactly, Aisha. Enlightened Being says, there are no lines anymore. Either you are or not part of the bonfire. Okay. Dr. Tachi says the non-melanated people that are actually trying to do something realize that the ones inflicting the pain and benefiting from it also speak for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and see, and that's why we don't need to say not all, because the ones who understand let it fly. The ones who, like Dr. Tachi, like they understand, they realize that they're part of the group, and that the same way. For example, it's like we make excuses for people. For example, if a white woman gets mugged by a black person, then her family, the men in her life, herself, they all use that as an excuse to hate black people, and people will protect their right to do so. But if we as people have an overwhelming fear and mistrust of the police, who are known to kill people who look like us, then we're in the wrong. So I don't go for that anymore. I can't do that anymore, because it's not.
Because if you're an ally and you are a part of us, you don't take that to offense at all. If you got some kind of then you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself, because you're part of the problem.
Exactly, because here's the thing: when I'm talking to LGBTQ people, and they say, well, the straights or whatever, I do not take offense to it, even though I know I'm in that group. I don't take offense to it, because guess what? Heterosexual people can be homophobic. Period. It's part of our culture. We have to own it, and so I think we have to start giving them a crutch. I think saying not all gives even the ones who may not be in that a crutch to say, well, I'm not like them. I'm one of the good ones. I'm better than, which really goes back to supporting and upholding this system of white supremacy, which is based on being better than.
There you go. J.G. Marr says GI Bill was designed to weed out black soldiers after World War II, roughly 98% of them.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
All right.
And then when they got the chance, they put black people on the front lines to die. If you ever get a chance, read Bloods about black men in the Vietnam War.
All right. Just want to show you the tab here. So we asked, would you have liked the Democratic Party to shut down the federal government? 10 out of 10 people said 100%. No one said no. There you go. So everyone who's watching this is fully saying, you know what? The Dems big misstep with the Democratic Party on this one. Big misstep. What are the repercussions for the Democratic Party now going forward?
No, they have shown who they are, and the American people have now seen who they are. I am going to bet that a lot of the American people not only just speak out like they are now, because many are, with these town halls and these telephone calls and these writing letters and everything, that, they're going to be voted out. Most of the things that I am seeing, there was even some people like, I used to like them, but guess what? You've shown me who you are. You've got to go. John Fetterman, he's going to be voted out.
Oh, he's never coming back. And I'm sorry. But when whoever said Republicans in disguise, that is John Fetterman. And I was against people voting for John Fetterman from the get-go after I learned what he did to that black man in Pennsylvania. It's absurd. He needs to go because he's a slob. He doesn't take the job seriously. I just think he's
and he likes to hide behind a disability. Well, I know a lot of people who have disabilities that carry themselves better than he does. He represents our government.
What disability? He had a heart attack. That's not on the list of disabilities, of recognized disabilities. It's not.
Wow. 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 This is just really crazy. Just give me a moment, family. I'm okay. Next poll that we're next.
I'm sorry, one more thing about John Fetterman. Maybe
Yeah.
if he actually tried the exercising instead of trying to look like he's about to go work out.
You know, that is, Aisha, you hit it right on the head. He's always walking around in freaking sweats like he's really going to go do something. Oh. Listen,
All right.
I'm sorry, but his office must
I walk 5 to 7 miles every single day. Do you hear me? When I get back from my walk, I clean up and dress up and look nice. You can do the same.
All right. Hold on.
Like
Hold on. One more quick thing. I got another interactive for the audience. If you are watching on the Dr. Vibe Show YouTube channel, you can do this short answer. What is the future of the Democratic Party in America? If you're watching on the Dr. Vibe Show YouTube channel live, I think you can do short answer. Would love to see what your thoughts are. What is the future of the Democratic Party in America? So I'd love to hear. And I think even if you're outside of America, we'd love to get your comments. First 10 people can put their comments in and it will show. So I'm looking for someone to start it off. Also, toast. All right. And so Dr. Bleak, okay, how come we're not? Okay, we're getting stuff now. Okay, there we go. Look how it comes up. Bleak. Oh, this is cool how this does this. All right, time to clean house. Over. All right, I loving this. I love how this and see how it puts it down there. All right, very nice. So Dr. Tachi says clearly LaLa is annoyed with this health leisure.
Leisure.
Dr. Tachi says toast, as she said in her comments. Walamala says bleak. And actually, the nice thing about this, I don't have to read from our comments section, but you show. JJ Mars says more fractured. Look at this. Love it. Love this. I am so happy to launch this as part of our conversations. The interact, you are seeing what people are saying. LaLa, Aisha, what is the future of the Democratic between now and the midterms?
They should be frightened because now
there's plenty of time.
They are seeing the people now speak out. You know, I literally told my husband last night when because I catch him up on a lot of these things because he just gets so sick to his stomach. And I said, sweetie, we are now at the point where people are at the town hall with their pitchforks, literally. And these Democrats and Republicans, because they're showing up at the town halls, people are coming in. JD Vance got booed at a game the other day. He's in hiding most of the time. Yeah. The people are
only when Vladimir Zelensky comes out, though.
No, but it was also to this thing. Remember, he was at the Kennedy Center that Trump took over. Trump took over as chair and CEO of the Kennedy Center. How the you gonna be president and have a second job? And then not only did he take it over, but then he also gave Pam Bondi a second job by putting her on the board, his chief of staff a second job, put her on the board. Remember, this is also double dipping because the salary comes with that too. And then he went and put Laura Ingraham on it, and he put Maria Bartiromo. He removed all the Democratic appointed people on the board. So he took that over. And now he's mad because people are pulling out of the Kennedy Center. So what does he do? He has a little fit yesterday by having his little press conference.
We'll talk about that in just a moment. All right. So Dr. Tachi says the Democrats are toast. She likes the tool that we're using. This is a neat tool. We can certainly chat about it offline, Dr. Tachi. The Walamala said, what future? And Shirley says,
that part, the Guatemala. Yes.
Revamping, yeah. Well, here's the thing. The Democratic Party, who, as it stands now, the members of it are going to have to decide, are we going to stick with the party line and the old guard and the establishment, or are we going to break off and form a progressive Democratic Party? It might just be best.
This is gonna split the party.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Dr. Chad says maybe you can turn the Kennedy Center into a Tesla dealership. Oh my gosh.
Well, we have to be clear. The reason that he's doing this is largely because, once again, the Kennedy Center, it celebrates the arts. Who in the arts does it celebrate? Mostly Hollywood. He's trying to get back into Hollywood. He hates the fact that Hollywood is so liberal that they hate him. And it bothers him. And so he is literally trying to force them into liking him, the same way that he's trying to force Americans into liking him by basically saying he's going to try and make it illegal to not like him.
So JJ Mars says Al Green basically admitted on the Breakfast Club radio show the Dems have backstabbed Black Americans for years.
For years they have, yes, but this is just blatant. Don't tell me, do not tell me like Schumer did. I'm not going to do that. And then the very next day, I did it. It's like one of those TikTok memes that they were out like, girl, I'm not going to do that. Girl, I'm not going to do that. I did it. Who are you? Who do you represent? Because you don't represent me, and you don't represent majority of the Democratic Party, who is telling you have done the wrong thing and has now told you, you won't be making that mistake again. You either step down or we're voting you out.
Yeah. And here's the thing. You know what? The same way that Republicans are avoiding town halls, guess who else is avoiding town hall meetings? Democrats. Look, here's how you know that they are so discombobulated, so confused, so discoordinated, so unorganized. The moment it was heard that Republicans were booing people at their town halls, every Democrat should have been instructed, you know what? We got breaks. When you go home, you have X number of town halls. And like AOC did a town hall. People came literally just to boo her. And you know what? She sat there and she enjoyed it. She danced to the boo.
Her power.
But she stood there in it. And she said, I love this because even if you don't like me, even if you have something to complain about, you're here, you're involved.
But meanwhile, the Republicans and the GOP is telling everybody to shut them down.
And the establishment Democrats are too afraid to show up. Hakeem Jeffries, you need to be having some town hall meetings right now to explain to people why you are leading the way that you're leading. Chuck, I promise you this, Chuck Schumer will not have another. He will not have another town hall. He will also not have another fundraiser or a political campaign for himself that is not behind closed doors with high-level donors. Why? Because he does not want to face the people after this vote.
Sure. Okay, we're going to put up another interaction for the audience. Another one I want to put up, and it's a short answer one. And again, if you're watching live on YouTube on the Dr. Vibe Show platform, you'll be able to put in the comment section. It's going to show. Dr. Chachi says Schumer is now chopped liver. All right. So let's have another engagement with our lovely audience. And what will America look like in 6 months? Type it in, short answer, type it in the YouTube comments and it will show up. Ladies, what do you think?
I put my comment in.
Oh, I saw that. Okay, with this, you said Russia. Wow.
It's what he wants.
Enlightened Being says war from within.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Tachi says, and I was watching a gentleman named David Frum, who is a columnist from the Atlantic, and he really gives some very good insight. And one of the things he was saying is that, okay, the Guatemala says, lucky if they make it in 6 months. He said that basically what 47 wants is only alliance with North Korea, Russia. There's a country in Europe. What's the Oban? What's the country he leads? He only wants alliance with about 4 or 5 countries and just to heck with everybody else.
Yeah. as if those countries are going to have our back. It's like he's trusting that because they like him and say nice things to him, that they're being genuine. He's such an idiot.
Okay. So people are saying, what's going to happen in 6 months' time? All right. We are going to take our next conversation up. And again, thank you everybody who is who's commenting on the interactive. I wanted to launch, I did a little test on it on yesterday's program, but today I said, all right, let's go full in. Let's go full in. All right. So next, I'll got some comments here. Dr. Chachi says, hey, at Regina's here. Oh, good. Donnie has a heart attack. She says, JD in office. All right. Dr.
I know,
Chachi.
just as bad. It's like
Not a good
know which
thing,
is worse.
y'all. Which is not a good thing. Can we just stop for just a second? Because we say this every week, but we still need to continue to say it, because I am still continuing to see so many people online talking about we need to impeach Trump. Listen, you don't understand that doesn't mean Jack Squattery on the lottery. Yes, I said that, Jack Squattery on the lottery. Yes, I'm from Kentucky.
That sounds like a t-shirt, by the way.
And yep, it is. And so listen, when you dream of that, you have other demon heads that will pop up on this dragon, because we are like 14 in deep before you can even get to anyone that would even stand up for us.
18.
This is the perfect
18.
star. 18.
All right.
So the perfect star alignment with this is very important for you to understand. I know that y'all want impeachment. We all do. But when you understand that everything behind that is lined up in a strategic manner, you will understand the consequences of what will happen then. You are not going to get what you want if he gets impeached.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Let's just do some more comments and move on to our next conversation.
That was well said, Lala.
Dr. Chach says, hey, at Regina Fisk. And Shirley Josman, she said, only God knows. Regina says, I hate JD, but so does everybody else. Dr. Kachi says, it doesn't speak to the fact that these countries have no economic power. It's like trying to be like an eagle and only hang around with the chickens. Regina says, yes, but JD is not liked by the cult. And Regina says, Peter Thiel, however, is worse than Elon. All right.
Here's the thing. Once Elon is assured that his billions are okay, he's easily distracted by the next thing to come up in his face. Like Elon right now, and I showed Jill and Lala a clip of this article that I read from The Atlantic yesterday. Elon Musk's has bigger dreams than just America. His goal is to really upend democracies worldwide. That's why he's got his hands in some of these other countries. That's why he's got his hands in Greenland. He's the one in Trump's ear about Greenland, because Greenland turned off his SpaceX. He's going after all these democracies that are not having anything to deal with him. So his issues are above and beyond Trump. Now, Peter Thiel, on the other hand.
All right, let's move forward. We've got our next. The Wallamala says even JD cousin hates him. Dr. Chachi says, at Regina Freeze, yes, they can't stand eyeliner king. And Elaine Bain says, Elon is a coward. Anyone who uses a child as a human shield is only concerned about his own agenda. Going back, I think, to that White House press conference. All right, let's talk about briefly 45's appearance yesterday at the Justice Department, calling his opponents scum and lawbreakers in bellicose speech at the Justice Department. I know, Aisha, you saw some of or read about some of this. What do you have to say about his appearance?
Basically, he got up there because he was mad. He's mad that these judges are coming back and saying, hey, you got to stop firing these people because their contracts say they are guaranteed 60 days notice that they're going to be fired. That's the first thing. The second thing is that earlier this week, he said that there is one particular law firm that is the law firm that represents people who he considers political enemies, right?
Who do you
Represent-
think that is?
represents them. And so he's decided that the Justice Department does not have to give them information, access, or discovery on anything. Right? So that was that thing. That didn't go over well. And so now mind you, the way it's not just that he had this press conference at the Justice Department, it's how he did it. You have to remember, this conference was called by Pam Bondi as if she was having a presser to talk about things going on at the DOJ, and introduces speak. A man who has no understanding of the law, did not go to law school, barely graduated high school, only has college degrees because his father paid for them. Okay, so this man is going to tell us about what's legal and what's illegal. A man who hasn't even read the preamble to the Constitution yet represents the United States as its president and swore an oath to protect it. Okay, hasn't even read the document he swore an oath to protect, to sit there and say that this and this is illegal. No, it's not illegal. Here's what we have to get away from. We have to stop saying that things are illegal or shouldn't happen, and that we have to unite and go against things that we just don't like. And I'm not talking about policy. I'm talking about people. This happens in certain fandoms. I've been a victim of it. I know some people who else have been a victim of it, because you don't like one person affiliated with a particular artist or anybody. That's not right. It's where does it say people don't have free will and that people have to? You are required by law to like anybody, anyone, especially your politicians. Guess what? You know how come we know it's not illegal to dislike certain politicians? Because you can vote for whoever you want. And if it is illegal to not like certain politicians, then the 75 million people who voted for that man because they did not like Kamala Harris should be arrested.
Thank you. I can't add anything to that.
Are you kidding me? I'll give you a few seconds to think. So Dr. Tati says, unrelated, Dr. Vibe. I thought your background was a picture of my floors. Okay. Okay. Regina says 47 was like a crazy grandpa ranting on the front porch during the press conference yesterday.
He was up there talking about what happened in 2022, the Mar-a-Lago raid that was legal, because guess what? Judges upheld it. So what he's basically trying to do is he's railing against the justice system. He's railing against judges. And you know, the part that bothers him is this one thing that's stuck in his craw, and he's trying to figure out how to get around it. We have three co-equal branches of government. We have one branch that has totally fallen flat, laid itself out as a red carpet for Donald Trump to walk on. That would be the legislative branch. The judicial branch is basically, and I'm not talking about the high court, although they came through last week. It's the lower courts that are basically being the bulwark against anything that Donald Trump is trying to do that's nefarious.
Yeah, and I'm just taking.
And he wants to get rid of it.
You know, I'm just reading some of this article with the DOJ logo directly behind him. 47.
Well, no.
His political opponents lawbreakers and said others should be sent to prison. Quote: these are people that are bad people, really bad people. I hear that. He said really bad people.
But do you know what the law is that they broke? They ran against him in a campaign. That's not illegal. They said something about him that he didn't think was nice. That's not illegal. You know what? I think he looks like a baboon's behind. I think he's ugly. I think he's fat. I think he's sloppy, disgusting, bald, untanned, unseasoned, unflavored, untalented, unintelligent.
Off to jail with you, Aisha. Off to jail.
Exactly. Put me in prison, Donald Trump, for saying that you're a lazy loafer and you don't do anything. You don't deserve anything. You don't deserve where you are. Go ahead and arrest me. I'll give you my freaking address. You have my government name. Come after me.
All
So,
right.
so
Go ahead.
let me stop. I
It's
need
about
to
time.
address.
I was waiting for you to say something. Poofy
Well,
hair. Go ahead.
it's just something that Aisha said that I need people to also be aware of that just happened. And we are seeing these things by him coming in and just not liking you, and you're not liking him. He is threatened by that because he needs everyone to like him or bend to his will. There was a young couple where this gentleman actually has his green card. He
Yeah.
is married to an American woman who is also pregnant, 8 months pregnant. He has been outspoken about what things have going on. And what did Trump's administration do? They sent ICE, arrested him. And they couldn't understand why. Why are you arresting me? What is going on? It's only because they said that he was spitting propaganda on the internet. They went to arrest this man for freedom of speech, your constitutional right, and then only had to let him go because they realized that he was not on a visa. He has a green card. And so much attention, and his wife was calling the attention to everything that was going on too, and it was in the news. So listen, baby, he wants us all gone. If you're not what his type of white, and it doesn't matter as long as you're type of his white that has the green in the pocket, he wants you gone. He wants birthright citizen to be gone. Now people just think that affects immigrants. No, baby, that talks to you too. That talks to you too. So his whole goal is to only have a nation of people to line up under him and drink the Kool-Aid. We say that, and I know people laugh at that, but I don't think you understand just how serious that is. This happened with Hitler. This happened with Jim Jones. This is what his goal is. And as long as we resist, we're all at danger. Because if they actually come and they listen to some of our podcasts where we are being free and we are talking and we are saying what we believe that our country should be doing, we are now a threat as well. So we are targets too. Do not take this lightly. This is nothing to joke with.
And let me be very clear. There's another reason why that DOJ thing was happened yesterday and was such a big deal. The attorney who worked for the DOJ, who was charged with deciding whether or not Mel Gibson should get his gun rights back after his racist was involved in a domestic violence. He went to jail for this. He got arrested for domestic violence against his partner. Okay. So she said, I don't think he should have his gun back. He's been arrested for domestic violence. No, he shouldn't have his gun back. And mind you, there is a case in the Supreme Court where they are trying to make it possible for people to do that, to get their guns back after domestic violence. Donald Trump is mad because Mel Gibson likes him. So I don't understand. If you don't give Mel Gibson back his gun rights, you're going to be fired. So she was terminated. But here's the thing that's scary about that. He's fighting very hard for Mel Gibson because guess who else he wants? Because that sets precedent. Guess who else will get their gun rights back after being convicted of felonies? There's 1,600 of them, and he let them go. It's his army. It's who he needs on the street because she's fighting really hard for this. And LaLa said this last week, and I think I can't stress enough how every day you have to watch how it's unfolding and coming to fruition. That thing with Derek Chauvin, that he's trying to get Black people in the street. He's trying to get his people, his insurrectionists, their guns back. He's trying to get started a civil war. He is the culmination of Project 2025. And how does Project 2025 end? That guy told us if Democrats or people that they consider Democrats, which would be non-white people, do not surrender peacefully, there will be bloodshed to do it. He ultimately, those people want a race war, and he's determined to give it to them.
Okay, I'm going to hit some comments. Regina says, yet when Obama showed up for Holder's retirement party at the DOJ just once, the GOP went insane. She also says Mahmoud Khalil, important name. And also Regina says a Muslim couple who owns a restaurant in New Jersey were snatched by ICE. The entire white community went insane and got them out. We can win if we stick together. And also
too, they're arresting students and people who are involved in the protests at Columbia University last year when Joe Biden was president. Last year, he's going now and arresting them. And then some of the ones that they've arrested, they've lost track of where they are in the system.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been taking a look at one or two articles. I want to bring up this one. Let me just do this. That's 25. No, I want to bring this up. All right. Let me just bring up. I want to bring up an article that's relevant. Like, it's a subject I want to have. Just read a little bit quickly. So just give me a second, family, as I go through something really quickly here. All right. So this, okay, I'm just going to bring this up. Too many things on it, but actually, article here I'm looking at 47 in Hitler, too close for comfort.
Yes.
And
anybody who's a student of history knows that the problem is, and it's not just Hitler. We're talking about he's as bad as Andrew Jackson. People forget Andrew Jackson was a monster, monster.
But this person says, first, there's a claim to serving a divine purpose. Hitler ghost wrote a biography that deemed him Germany's, quote, Messiah, unquote.
Yes.
In his victory speech in November, 47 asserted, God spared my life for a reason. Even when the two men, this commenter says, the two men have habitually used untruths to win popular support. A U.S. intelligence analysis during World War II said Hitler thought that if you repeated a lie, quote, frequently, and this is, quote, frequently enough, people will sooner or later believe it, unquote. 47 former press secretary Stephanie Grisham has stated 47 used to tell her, quote, as long as you keep on repeating something, it doesn't matter what you say.
But there's 2 points to make here about that, though. The first is that let's not forget that American sentiment in that time period, if you really do the research, was in support of Nazis, in support of Hitler in the early 30s, before the attack on Pearl Harbor. But beyond that, and people keep going and saying, oh, well, we have to go back to Hitler. This is Hitler. This is Hitler. No, it's not. It's American. And I say that because where did Hitler's people get their inspiration from? It is American. And that's why I made the point about Andrew Jackson. They learn from us. It's nice that we like to say, oh, this is this part coming here. It's this coming here, because that again takes the blame off of the people who perpetuate white supremacy in this society. Nah, honey. These are your chickens coming home to roost. These are the eggs that you planted, that you laid years ago. These are the seeds that you planted hundreds and hundreds of years ago, bearing fruit. It looks like Hitler because we like to say that that's the worst possible thing that could happen in this world. I'm sorry. It's among a lot of really horrible, ugly, nasty, dirty, horrendous, inhumane things that have been done to people in this world since its inception. It is bad. It's bad.
What
but the
people
fact
don't
that we
really
can't
realize is that the regime of Hitler also came to look at our history, specifically when it came to slavery and how we put that in order, the Jim Crow laws. That is where he got his plan from. He came and studied that very clearly and took it back to Germany. So this is a cycle of history. This is the, you have to understand the true history. If you don't understand the history, you don't really understand what you're talking about. I have taken the time to go back and study this. I have actually read a lot of Hitler stuff and said, oh my sweet Jesus, I cannot believe that this is happening. I'm currently reading a book called Riding the Pale Horse. And I'm going to make sure that's the right title. And it shows clearly how all of this has aligned. And it's not, most people say, oh, that's conspiracy. No, it's not conspiracy. They know what to study in order to get the power that they need. And they go back to the sources that show them that this will work.
Yeah. And all too often,
Aisha frozen.
With
she's
the
back.
way that they're fighting against. Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking. The way that they talk about this country and reshaping American education and reshaping history. There's one particular part of our history that we don't get enough learning on, and that is the period of Reconstruction in this country. It is that period that set up the Black codes, the Jim Crow laws, that it set the foundation for all those things that we saw then and that have continued through this period. That's where redlining starts. After the enslaved people, they didn't want them living near them. They gave them, then there's this patch of land, you can sharecrop on that, but we're going to take advantage of you and exploit your labor still. That period of Reconstruction, not only was it just and I'm not talking about the period of Reconstruction, I'm talking about the terror that happened during it. We never talk about that, but that period right after Reconstruction and why Reconstruction ended. People need to start looking at why it ended. It ended going back to the reason as to why people don't want to have nice things in this country, because they don't want the other people to have them.
That's right. So if you can't have it, then guess what? I'm willing to not have it too.
All right. We're going to move on to the next comment. That's topic. But got some comments here. Shirley says they are removing BLM from the street in Washington. What a waste of money. Regina
That's because
says
that street leads up to the White House too, just so you know. That's the street that leads up to the White House.
Regina says Rubio is trash. His parents were not citizens when he was born in Miami, and his grandpa was almost deported. Shame. Shirley says about Derek Chauvin, pardon this officer would be an insult to Black people. And LaLa gave the title of the book here, Behold a Pale Horse, written by William Cooper. Thank you, LaLa, for sharing that. All right.
Shirley's right. But Shirley's right. Pardoning it would be an insult to Black people. But guess what? Don't get out on the streets, because it is a distraction. Remember, there are state charges he cannot pardon. And I promise you, Tim Walz is not about to pardon them.
All right. Next conversation topic, the incoming housing homelessness crisis in America that no one's talking about. And I want LaLa to start on this because housing is up her alley. And again, for people, another little engagement for the audience here. If you are watching live on the Dr. Vibe Show YouTube channel, here's a poll. Simple, just type in yes, no, or not sure. Is there a housing crisis in America? LaLa, kick it off.
Yes, it's very much a serious crisis in America. And not only just here, it's falling into many other different states. Most people think that this is an issue only for the larger states, such as California and Florida, and those New York City. But this is falling over into not only the middle class, but those who are struggling to get out of the lower class, who are building to get into the middle class. There is no middle class when it comes to real estate right now. It pretty much is almost impossible for you to own a home with the type of income that you are bringing in. And what they are doing is they're also changing the laws within HUD that is also going to be changing the FHA loans as well, which is the government loan. That's the Federal Housing Authority. And HUD is the Urban housing development. Now, listen, all of that falls under what people are thinking about home ownership, because typically you can get a loan through that thing. That they are changing the language of so many things and so many grants, such as women and minority-led businesses, women and minorities, period. Anyone who is on Section 8 who qualifies for the first-time home ownership program, they are considered minority. So all of these things are going away. BlackRock is buying everything. They bought the Panama Canal just recently. So listen, they own so much property now that what they're doing is they're buying all of this land up, especially in places that have been devastated, such as Los Angeles, especially in the Black-owned areas that was historically Black-owned, which was Altadena and Pasadena. Y'all think that's white? No, honey, there's a lot of deep Black history in those areas. And those were pretty much the only areas that Blacks could buy. So what they're doing now is they're sending out their predatory people. They're offering people money for their land so that they can buy it up. Their hope and their dream is to build communities. But these communities will not be for sale. They will only be for rent to keep you in a certain part of the demographic of never owning any kind of home. So they're pushing people to homelessness by not giving them the pay that they need, cutting all of the programs, wording things such as within HUD and FHA to now take away all of your rights when you were considered a minority as someone who needed a hand up, whether you're a woman. This includes white women too. Okay, this is not just the Black community. Women businesses, minority businesses, they also benefit from all of these programs, if not more than even the minority community, such as the Black community. So what they're doing is lining it all up so that you cannot possibly dream of home ownership. They're going to lull you into thinking that renting is the way, so that someone will always have this hanging over your head and they can raise prices to the point where you can't afford it anymore. We're already seeing it in California. We are definitely seeing it in Florida with those communities that are coming in. That was a test launch to build full communities that were only for rent. I saw them. I have it on tape. I toured them. They're beautiful communities, but you don't get the benefit of doing wealth building when they are doing this to tear you down. They're doing everything they can to keep you in a certain tax bracket.
Yeah. One of the reasons I want to talk about this, particularly in the part that I'm glad LaLa laid that foundation, because the part that no one is really talking about has to do with the Doge cuts. And it's not about, and it's not just about what they're doing to HUD and all of that stuff. I want to be very clear about that. With the people that they're firing, they're talking about firing total some 250,000 people from the federal government. These people don't just live in DC. These people are going to only be relying on unemployment, which we're also going to see. Unemployment, we're going to see, like, it's going to face a crisis as well, because there are going to be way too many people needing to get it. And guess what? There's no one there to process their applications. So there's going to be that issue. But with regard to that, you're going to see a lot of these people go into foreclosure and lose their homes. And their homes are going to be bought. But on top of that, this week, I don't think anyone has really reported on it widely, but this week, the median rent for people in New York City went to $4,500 for a studio.
Much? How much?
$4,500. That is the median. $4,500 for a studio. So with those rates, and then seeing how rents are exploding, all these companies are now requiring certain credit scores, and also you making 3 times the amount of the rent. Not even if you have a roommate, not just you have to be able to make the full rent on your own by 3 times, as well as whoever is sharing the rent with you. So think about that. If rents are what you're talking about, livable income, rents are like, you have to find like $1,600, right? And that's and I'll tell you, that's on the cheap side here in Connecticut. $1,600 for a rent, you have to be able to make 3 times that amount in a month. Your monthly income has to be 3 times that amount. So we're talking like almost $5,000 you have to make to be able to get the lease for the rent, and it has to match your credit score. So they're doing those kinds of things. So you're going to see all these people who work for the federal government lose their jobs with the cutting of the programs like Section 8. You're going to see the homelessness crisis just expand when you have 220,000 people who can't take care of themselves. What do you think that's going to do? You're going to see people starting to move into these spaces where low income housing that used to be for people who are truly low income are going to be for people who previously were not low income. And guess what? They're going to get rid of the rent caps in low income housing, so that people who were making more money can actually rent those spaces at a lower rent, at say like maybe $1,000 a month, but it's still public housing where someone else was staying there for maybe $100 a month. That person who was staying there for $100 a month, them and their families now homeless. So you're going to see there's this movement, movement of class is going to happen and let me be very clear. It's not just the federal workers. Remember, a lot of the funding that they're cutting goes to grants and things that people get to fund social services, which funds jobs in communities. So because all this money is being cut, because all these positions are being cut, you're going to see people who are solidly in the middle class, maybe upper middle class, shift. Everybody's social class, socioeconomic class is going to shift downward, which means the amount of people facing homelessness is going to explode in cities that are already dealing with a homelessness crisis. So this homelessness epidemic is going to become a pandemic nationwide.
Okay, before I jump in, I know LaLa, definitely, this is certainly your wheelhouse more than anyone else's on this screen right now. What the Guatemala says, BlackRock owns 88% of the SP 500.
Yes, they do.
And I also did some quick research. The percentage of Americans' income that goes toward mortgage or rent varies based on location, income level, and housing costs. Here are some general statistics. Renters, according to the U.S. Census Bureau and Harvard Joint Center for Housing Studies, around 30 to 50% of renters spend 30% or more of their income on rent. About 25% of the renters are considered severely cost burdened, meaning they spend 50% or more on their income on rent. Homeowners mortgages, according to the data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Federal Reserve, homeowners with a mortgage typically spend 16 to 25% of their income on mortgage payments. However, in high-cost areas, the percentage can be 30% or more. And last thing I just want to add before LaLa chimes back in, the 30% rule is a common guideline suggesting that housing costs, rent, or mortgage should not exceed 30% of pre-tax income. However, in expensive cities like New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Miami, many residents spend 40 to 50% of their income on housing. LaLa?
Yeah. I can tell you right now, the trend that I am seeing that no one is really talking about. I find it very interesting that I can go in and see these trends so clearly. However, there's a lot of people that are not talking about what's really happening in the real estate world because of all of these things that are happening. And actually, because Trump got in and people kind of started seeing what was happening, people started losing their jobs immediately. That wasn't expected. We are already seeing pre-foreclosures climb at an alarming rate. People cannot afford to continue to pay for their homes. When we see that, we know that something major is coming. And the way that the media likes to spin it, the way that the National Association of Realtors likes to spin the lie is to say that, oh, this would be a good time for buyers because now the market is shifting. Well, if the buyers don't have the money to buy and the sellers don't have the money to pay for their mortgage, what the do you think is going to happen? It's crashing. We are going to see a lot of homes that will now be empty. We are going to see a lot of banks proceeding with the foreclosure. Who is there to snap it up? Places like Black Rock. So we are now starting to see the beginning of this. I started to see this trend a little bit toward last summer. It's been very interesting because I do understand that real estate is a cycle. And usually the cycle goes anywhere from 7 to 9 years, up and down, up and down. That's just how real estate is. But we've been up for way too long, and we've been propped falsely up for way too long the last few years. Let's also be very clear that a lot of people keep saying that it's Biden's fault. No, a lot of this did not start under Biden's administration. It started under Trump's administration when Carson was running the HUD department. So you need to really be truthful about that. I never say give up on home ownership. If you can own, you can own. Listen, that's not just the realtor in me. That's the person who wants you to build wealth for you and your children, because home ownership is one of the major ways that you can pass down wealth to your children, even if it's a small piece of land. Why do you think that they don't want us to have it? If it wasn't so important, they wouldn't be trying to grab it. So what I am seeing on this side, and Aisha is right, it aligns with absolutely everything that is happening in our government right now, where people are not going to be able to afford it. I'll give you an example. I have a family member that works for a government organization. She is a GS-13. She's safe for right now. However, immediately when Trump started firing everyone, for the very first time, she had to go and fire someone who was just getting ready to be off of her probationary hearing time. Guess what that lady was doing at the time? She was in the middle of buying a home. And she had to be fired because of Trump's policy. So now, not only is that lady not probably going to be able to proceed with that home purchase, she has lost all the money that she has put into buying that home, because she was at the very end of the deal. She spent appraisal, she spent inspection, she's put down her down payment, she's lost her loan. There are fees that go along with that. So that's just one person that I'm talking about. There are thousands of others.
All right. I want to jump in for a few things here. And I should have said earlier on Facebook, I want to say shout out to Ryan Singh, and big friend of the show, Christy White, says hello. All right. So some things here. Aisha says, we get the majority of our steel and lumber to build residences in Canada. And Regina says, and to repair homes too. Dr. Tachi says, NAR is another scam. What NAR is, but maybe you ladies know. Regina says,
National Association of Realtors.
Okay, there we go. Regina says, my friend lives in a condo complex. There are typically 7 evictions a year. Last year there were 60. Holy smoke.
Well, no, that's not uncommon, because I've noticed that in a lot of apartment complexes here, and I've seen people on TikTok videos talking about it. That they are evicting people who have been in places, in apartments that they might not know, but the apartment complex knows has been like rent controlled for a while, and they want to increase the profit. So they're like evicting all these people, and then they do a little renovation. It might just be minor, but they're doing a minor renovation to justify raising the price. But you know what, here's one thing though. LaLa said something that I think we should all pay attention to, is that everything she said is right. LaLa actually knows real estate. Donald Trump doesn't, even though he considers himself a real estate mogul. And his hope really is to turn the United States into the failed failed Atlantic City that he tried to. He wants to turn everything into a resort. And so the thing that we have to be mindful of here is that he has no problem with this housing crash. He has no problem with many people going homeless, because he sees that as an opportunity for him and his friends to buy up all kinds of property and then resell them to people from China, from Saudi Arabia, from Russia. That's what from the Middle East. That is what he sees. Do you know the reason that he invited the Taliban here before had nothing to do with any kind of peace agreement or anything? That it was to let them look at land he was thinking about letting them get.
There we go. More comments. Dusty Bunny, our moderator, says buying homes in Ontario is bad too. This is where I live. It's been bad in Toronto and Ontario for a long time. Dr. Chachi says, I smell a class action lawsuit.
Yes.
And LaLa says, yes, Dr. Chachi, I'm no longer a member. They no longer align with my beliefs. So coming back, Enlightened Beings says, whole new build houses for rent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but they're gonna take. Yeah, they're gonna start taking over. You know what they're gonna start doing? And I've seen this happen. Actually, I saw this happen in the mid 2000s in South Carolina, when you saw these companies coming in and buying up blocks in subdivisions to the point that they could buy the entire subdivision, and almost every house in that subdivision was for rent. There are certain benefits and government benefits that people get for turning certain communities into they can like get certain tax breaks and things if X number of the units are rentable versus owned. Like I know we have that here where certain amount of in some of these nice places that they've built where certain amounts of the apartments, well, they're like little houses, certain amounts of the houses are rented. If they're rented as low income, then the whole property gets all kinds of tax breaks, even though the rest are owned. It's amazing that they're doing that this can be done, that there are these loopholes.
Well, let me tell you, don't you guys ever forget that the government went after the Trump family for everything that they did for discrimination. They literally would put the letter C on applications for colored so that you would know not to rent to that person. They have been sued by the HUD department in the 70s more than once. They settled out of court with the first one, but then HUD came back around 2-3 years later and said, well, you didn't stop the damn practice. You're still doing the same thing.
Yeah, because they rented to people and made them come in through the back.
Exactly. And so you have to understand his mentality when it comes to real estate has always been the underlying thing for him, anything that has to do with business, because that's where his family started with this stuff. And he got away with it then. And so now he sees how people can get away with it now. So therefore, he has laid the pathway and the lighted path for people to actually turn around and say, well, he did it, so let's follow the same thing. Now that he has control of HUD and who he wants in there, mind you, the black man who's in there right now also said he didn't believe in any kind of help for any people who are poor and doesn't align with that. So therefore, he's got the people that he wants in place to make sure that those that he doesn't want to own will not.
All right. I want to come back. As I said, just a few more moments, still have this poll going on. If you're on the YouTube channel, you can vote. Is there a housing crisis in America? All you have to do is either put yes, no, or not sure in the YouTube chat and press enter. Right now, everyone who has voted has said yes, there's a housing crisis in America at the present time. LaLa, I think you've talked about it already, but anything you want to add? Regina had, okay, hold on. We got more. The audience is really engaged. Dr. Chachi says, I recently looked at a list of the top 5 real estate markets for 2025. Buffalo, New York is number 1. Housing there is extremely cheap, so this aligns with what you are saying.
But you also know something too, Dr. Chachi, is that the housing in these areas where there has been some kind of catastrophic tragedy always plummets the cost of it, because we saw that in Newtown.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So Regina says, OMG, Buffalo's under snow 2 months a year. That is true. And Dr. Chachi says, yes. So I don't know if you want to add on this, because this is family. This is LaLa's wheelhouse big time, other than being a great black woman. But one of the other things. Regina asked LaLa, if we go into a recession, what will happen to the housing market? I know you may have said some things, but is there anything you want to go deeper in regards to Regina's question?
It will crash. It will crash for the American citizen. It will increase in more profits for corporate developments, such as BlackRock and many others. So the people of America will suffer. The corporations will gain more power.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, really
Yeah.
disturbing. Really, really, really. No, that's what needs to happen then, LaLa.
Underneath this administration, we have to continue to fight. Now, unfortunately, I will have to tell you that I no longer believe in the beliefs of the National Association of Realtors. They have sold themselves out. They made it very clear that they are supposed to be unbiased. However, they donated a lot of money to the Trump campaign. So that tells me that that has been compromised. Therefore, I cannot trust them, and I cannot believe that they truly stand for real home ownership. What we need to do is to educate ourselves on what it is that you can do within your areas to still allow for you to buy for a home. Whether you believe it or not, there are still programs out there that are smart enough that they are rewording their documents and their grant process so that it still fits into what the Trump administration is pushing for their agenda, but still yet can help you as a possible homeowner. Look into the grants into your area. Look into buying some of the HUD homes and fixing them up. Look into getting together with family members and possibly buying together if it feels pretty impossible right now. Because see, there are a lot of many other communities outside of our own community that do just that. They all get together, they buy as maybe two families, they live together for a little while while one family raises more money to buy their own. They move in with someone else for a couple of years and then they do the same thing. You need to now start thinking outside of the box because it's there for you. You just have to be willing to look through the so that you can see the diamond. Don't give up hope. Please don't give up hope.
Wow. Before we move to our last conversation topic, ladies, anything you want to add in regards to the housing situation?
Just watch this space because
Yeah.
again, remember that Trump has all these billionaires. He's got a cabinet full of billionaires, and he's got a fan base full of billionaires on his side. Remember all those people that showed up. Remember all those people that showed up to his inauguration.
In the front
front row of his inauguration. Don't be surprised when you start seeing homes by Amazon. Amazon's renting homes. Don't be surprised when you start seeing that.
All right. Okay. I'm putting another interactive poll for the audience before as we go into our last conversation topic. And again, here's the poll. Are you optimistic about the economy? Yes, no, not sure. So if you're watching live on my YouTube channel, all you have to do is put in either yes, no, or not sure. Hit the enter button, and it will be able to bring that up in the next few moments. So our last conversation topic is also in regards to housing. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development rejects Asheville, North Carolina's Helene. This was a hurricane recovery plan because of its DEI targets. LaLa, you brought this up. Lead with it, please.
It has actually started, you all. Trump has put into place that he does not want anything that has to do with minority or women owned, anything that has to do with those who need it the most when helping hands, instead of corporations getting all of the donations and all of the help and the grants. He does not want people who need it the most to get it. So because they had the rains and the hurricanes and all those things happening, they applied for the disaster relief. And in that disaster relief, they did have the wording still in there for minority and women-owned businesses. They rejected it immediately. Let me explain to you how much money this was. $221 million that was turned down immediately, all because of language. And so what this does is this still puts the people who are suffering, who have lost, who really need to get back on their feet immediately, and also to put money back into the economy. Did you hear what I said? Put money back into the economy, because someone has to rebuild these houses, right? Someone has to rebuild these businesses. So this is going to prolong the fact that this is not going to get done. And the longer that it goes on, the more detrimental it will be to those communities. So now you have a Black man who is leading the charge to make sure that he helps to devastate these programs and to make sure that they conform into what Trump wants. This is not the first that we're going to see. We're already starting to see it in California. You're going to see it in Florida as well, who definitely pushes Trump's agenda. California tries to fight back as much as they can, but they're not winning on that because let's say Trump's the Trump, right? He's the Trump. And Newsom can do everything that he can. However, it's still not going to work because at some point he's going to have to ask for the help, and he's not going to get it if he doesn't do what Trump wants. So because of that, this community will suffer longer, and they will not get the money they deserve unless they bow down and kiss the 10 ring.
Aisha, anything you want to add?
Of course, it was a Black man that did this because, that's the only person Trump thinks is qualified to run the housing and urban development because, once again, he thinks it's only the housing projects. Because he gets the housing authority in cities confused with housing and urban development for the federal government. Oh God, we have an idiot.
All right. Dr. Tati says, well, we've excommunicated him from the Black community. Black card revoked.
And
if you ever get a chance, that is a good game. It's Black owned, and you can buy it. It's called Black Card Revoked.
You're kidding.
Yeah, they've got like 15 editions too.
All right, good stuff. And just want to update on the most recent poll. Everyone who's answered has said they are not optimistic about the economy.
I don't care how many times the orange ones gets up and say, they're going to have the best economy. We're going to be America great. Everything that you're saying is not showing up, baby. It's not showing up. Eggs ain't gone down. Stock market is crashed. The rest of the world is turning their back on America. And I can definitely speak to Portugal. I want y'all to understand what just happened in Portugal. That just happened. Let me just tell you what just happened in Portugal so that you can understand how serious this is. Little old tiny Portugal out of the EU says Portugal has canceled the order for F-35s from the U.S. and will replace their F-16s with European fighters. They've canceled.
And that's happening across the U.S.
Trust the American anymore. They said we have to be able to count on the predictability of our allies, which is no longer the case with the United States.
Yep. Great Britain said the same thing. And all the countries in the EU are looking at figuring out other ways of getting their weapons. Guess what the majority of the defense budget for the United States is? It's in the weapon, which also means jobs go with that. And those states, those red states that really depend, the states that love making weapons and guns and things like that, they're going to really suffer.
It's a sad situation because unfortunately, and I will say this every week because I think people need to hear this.
Yeah.
The American media has been compromised. You are only receiving the news that they want you to hear. When you open your mind and you really look at the other platforms that are truly talking about what's truly happening in America from their perspective, you will see that America is going to witness a backlash that they have never seen before on a massive platform. You have people who are protesting in places like Italy. You have places that are doing like these carnival floats that all just happened. Everybody celebrated Carnival just a few weeks ago. You have floats that are saying America. This is not okay. And they're walking, they got Musk, they got Trump, they got Putin all kissing and hugging one another. They've got China hugging one another. I'm sorry for the harsh language, but this is actually how the rest of the world is seeing that it's happening. But here's the thing. When they say that, they know that they are talking about who is running it right now. Because when they run into Americans, they have pity and compassion for the American citizens. You hear people and you see people say, oh, this is not good for you, is it? I've had people tell that to me. We're so sorry. Does he not know? Does he not know that what happened in World War II? Like, they really do want to know what happened to our country. And I actually had someone tell me, America used to be great. I'm sorry.
We are done. I'm gonna one more audience engagement thing before we shut it down for today's epic conversation. So you can short answer. What did you think about today's show? So just in a few quick words, tell us what you thought about today's show. We'd love to hear before we shut it down today. Enlightened Being says, the world is seeing the writing on the wall. They will unite and rise against us. Dr. Tachi says, good. The red states are now in full FA and FO mode. All right. Dusty Bunny says, and we're looking at art, engaging conversation. Enlightened Being says, great conversation and fun engagement. The Walamala says, very informative. Absolutely awesome, awesome. Shirley Jasma. All right. Well, and before, so we'll keep this up. I'll take it down, but we'll keep, you can still, until the end of this conversation, live conversation, you can put any more comments you want to put in. I'm just going to take that down. And so before we shut it down, as always, want to thank the ladies for their time. Like someone said to me, you guys don't have any, you don't have to worry about chatting about things these days. I go, no, we could, if we could do it every day, we would. you think? And maybe one day that will happen. You never know. But before we exit out today, we have to put their contact information up. First things first, LaLa, your time.
All righty. Well, listen, you do not have to be stuck. There is a great big world out here. And if you've ever dreamed about just going abroad and seeing what the rest of the world looks like and not being under such oppression, then you need to go to my website, and it's www.laurakey.net. I have a free quiz that will help you assess if that is something that you can do now or start planning for or plan for in a long-term situation. So what you can do is to start arming yourself with the information that you need so that you can have the peace in your life. This is not the only thing that is going on in the world. So you can find me at www.laurakey.net. And I also actually have some really fun stuff at my store. So you can go to bit.ly/roots and richness, check out some of those t-shirts and mugs and have some fun with this as well.
100%. Thank you, LaLa. Next up, Aisha K. Staggers.
You can find me on my Instagram at AK Staggers. You can find my Medium at Aisha K Staggers, and you can also find me on Blue Sky at akstaggers.bsky.social.
Wonderful. And finally, myself. You can find me at the drvibeshow.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show, Instagram at the drvibeshow.com, x/Twitter at drvibeshow, and email dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And you can also catch me on Blue Sky at drvibes.bsky.social. Loved everything that went down today. Massive. And I want to say, especially the people who watch live on the YouTube channel, thank you for the engagement. And just want to get your feedback. Did you like the software tool in regards to engagement? I thought you guys were great. And based on this, I'm going to go a little bit, get a paid plan probably, so more people can be engaged with. Thank you for hanging in and handling me while we manage it. And big thank you to our producer, Dusty Bunny, so much. Shirley Joseph says, yes, she liked it. All right. So let's close it out with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions. Oh, Regina Free says she liked the tool too. Excellent. Love it. All right. Sometimes so live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. If you're not making money, make history. Try to do both and finally make it better. God bless. Peace to you all. Keep the faith and walk good. We'll see you soon.
Understand how afraid I am of any member of the rodent family that's down to squirrels and chipmunks. Okay? I cannot stand all members of the rodent family. Rabbits, bunnies, no. I do.
What else is going on that day? I mean, is there something we're supposed to be doing?
Why are you going there? Why are you going there? You know I'm going to ask you. It falls the same day as the inauguration of the new president.
The what? Excuse me? I'm sorry.
So in other words, Monday.
So onesies. Now, folks, don't ever think you're going to see us all on a show with onesies on. Don't do that.
You might see me. You might see me.
You'll see me and LaLa because we oftentimes wear ours.